Hei vaan, rakkaat ystävät, ja tervetuloa jälleen Keskiympyrän pariin. Tällä kertaa saamme vieraaksemme tämän alkaneen Veikkausliigakauden ehdottoman sensaation, sen ehkä kenties kaikkein kuumimman nimen, ainakin tietyllä tapaa, nimittäin Alfie Cicale, englantilais-italialainen pelaaja, joka VPSään tuli ennen tätä kautta, ja hänestähän ei ihan hirvittävästi tiedetty yhtään mitään. Ei kukaan tiennyt, kuka on Alfie Cicale, mutta hän vakuutti VPS:n, ja nyt kun hänet on nähty tositoimissa, niin hän on vakuuttanut myöskin koko Veikkausliigaa ja suomalaista futista seuraavan yleisön, joten äärimmäisen mielenkiintoisen urapolun kulkenut Alfie Cicale otetaan nyt Keskiympyrään vieraaksi.
Hi guys.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. Yeah, it's lovely weather here, so
Yeah.
tanning a bit. And, yeah, all good.
I heard that it's always sunny in Vasa.
It's always sunny, but it's not always warm.
Yeah, true. Well, hey, it's so great to have you here on this show. Thank you for coming. What's up?
What's up? I mean, it's been good question. It's been an interesting few months even, but an interesting week leading up to this. So yeah, I mean, doing some different kind of training sessions right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling good. So yeah, not too much.
Yeah. So of course I have to ask about that injury you got against Kups. What can you say about that at this point? When do we see you again on the pitch?
So I can't, I can't say too much. But it won't be long. It won't be long. It's not, it's not super serious. It's like just something, and it's not going to be too long. So not to worry.
All right. Good to hear. But yeah, as we know, it sucks to be injured. How are you? Are you still like keeping your head up because you were doing so fine before the injury?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, when you build momentum, you just want to keep that going, right? And
Yeah.
I guess in some senses, getting an injury, yeah, in some senses, people see it as breaking up momentum. I think it's best to look at these things as it's kind of cliche, but as opportunities. So there's things that I can work on, other parts of my body that I was maybe feeling or whatever, and that just maybe buys me a little bit of time to recover in some ways and improve in other aspects of my game. So, and other aspects physically. So yeah, I'm seeing it like that, and I'm still in every day. I'm still, as I said, I don't think it'll be too long. So I'm still around all the boys, and not that much changes.
Yeah. Okay. Good to hear. Have you enjoyed your time in Vasa and in Finland these past few months? Like you said, it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. I've loved it. I mean, I first got here at the beginning of March. Completely different weather. I mean, landing in Vasa, completely different to how it is now. I've really enjoyed it. The people here have been really amazing to me. Really kind and warm and open. So, and that's not just all the staff members and all the guys at the club. They've been incredible, and it's a great group. But the people of Vasa as well have been really welcoming. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah. You could say that you arrived kind of late, like it was like maybe a few weeks before the season. So how did you adapt to the team and how the team plays?
Yeah, so it was pre-season, right? We had maybe 4 weeks, something like that, until the season starts. Yeah, 6th of May. It was exactly a month. We started on the 6th of April, right? So exactly a month. My first training session was like, in the preseason, the guys here, they do some wrestling training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like I've never done anything like that before, and that was my number one first training session. So straight into that. It's interesting, right? But I liked it, and that was a really good way to kind of you get to know people pretty quickly when you're like sweaty in a wrestling gym and having to like kind of fight people. So that was interesting. but I also think the way we're playing and in the first few weeks kind of gelling with the team, it suited me quite a bit. You know, wing back I think is I really enjoy the position, really enjoy it, have loads of space to run. I like taking on a role where it's not just go forward, do your attacking stuff. It's like expensive responsibility as well. And it gives me the opportunity to kind of shuttle. And I think you get more opportunities on the ball, ways to influence the game. So I think the kind of team setup, yeah, I think it suits me.
Yeah. Is there a lot of differences if you compare training in England and in Finland? Like you said, you were wrestling in your first training session, and you didn't do that in England.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that in England, so we can say the wrestling's different. On the training front, I don't think the style's massively different. I'm trying to think how it compares. I mean, I don't think there's that much. I don't think there's that much difference, really. No, I would say obviously English football in general is very kind of physical, right? And I'd say it's more physical than here. But that's kind of more so in the matches than in the training. The training, I would say, is quite similar, really. It's sort of normal stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. For me, as a journalist and also as a football commentator, I read like Transfermarkt like a Bible when I get to know these different players, new players that are coming to Veikkausliiga. And of course, as we know, if you go to Transfermarkt and read about you, there's not that much in there. So did you have any like have you faced any judgment like how you build your career? Because like it's totally different if we can compare to almost any other normal career if anyone
Yeah,
can call it a normal. But
yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't have any notes for you the first few games. Right, there's like nothing. Um, yeah. So judgment is an interesting word. I wouldn't say judgment now.
mm,
Like I believe, and I think a lot of people understand in football that you're only as good as your last game. I think that's true, right? So if you're playing well, like, why does your background matter? It's what you can do on the pitch in the moment that matters. So I wouldn't say, I face much judgment in that regard, having signed the contract here. And I wouldn't say at any point here I've faced judgment. But definitely, I mean, so I came out of uni last June, so it's not even a year ago. But in the period between coming out of uni and starting to trial at a few kind of professional football clubs to signing in Barca, opportunities were definitely harder to come by. Yeah. Definitely, because people think to themselves, they see your CV, well, what there is of a CV, right? And they think, no way he can cut it at the top level. Like, it's just not possible. Like, how can you go to uni for 3 years, not play proper football, or not play full-time football, and expect to like rock up and but they obviously don't know the amount of training I was doing on my own on the sides, and they don't know. It's impossible to know my level, right? Technical level and fitness level. And I think I've surprised nicely in that regard. So the people that kind of did have a look at me, so it's like Northampton, significantly Zamax Neuchâtel, they were obviously very open-minded to even have a look at me, right? Very open-minded even to have a look. I don't know if you know how many clubs that my agent reached out to, or the person that helped me reached out to, and there's just didn't even respond, or just said, sorry, we're not interested at all. We're looking for players with experience. We won't even take a look at him. So you could say that's judgment in some regards. Yeah. But I think most of the clubs that have looked at me have been nicely surprised by my level. And credit to people with open minds. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if we go back to your like, how did you start to play football? When did football came a part of your life, or has it always been?
So growing up in North London, football's always, If your dad loves football and you grew up in North London, when you go to school, football is like unavoidable, right? Complete unavoidable. You know, everyone supports a team from like the day they're born. They're allocated in some ways. And if you change, like there's a rule, like in my family there's a rule, you can swap teams before you're 12. But once you're 12, like that's done. Your team is, you know. So I would say football's like, yeah, it's completely ingrained in the culture. But playing it, yeah, I started playing with my friends at school, really. And my dad always loved football. So my first word was ball, apparently. First ever word.
Yeah. Mine too.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, there you go. So I always loved watching it. And I probably didn't pick it up like playing it. Some guys, you know, they say they started playing at like the age of 4, like in like a team or something. I don't think I ever did that. I always had a ball at my feet, you know.
Yeah.
Since I was born, but I wasn't playing in a club, I don't think, until I was like 8 or 9. And also just enjoying all sports when I was growing up. Like I liked playing rugby, I liked playing cricket, I liked playing football. I loved all sport, running, yeah, everything.
Yeah. So you said you're from North London, so the question is Spurs or Arsenal?
Spurs.
Did you ever change it, or has it always been?
I never changed ever. I never diverted from the course. My dad's a Spurs fan. Like the family is split. My dad's a Spurs fan, so I was always a Spurs fan. But my brother, he'll hate me if he ever sees this, but he was Liverpool for a year or two. Like,
okay.
And then went back to Spurs, but before 12, so it's fine.
All right. What is your best memory of Spurs?
Yeah, I think it's quite easy. So we were always on the waiting list for season tickets, like my whole childhood, maybe for like 10 years, whatever, or maybe even longer. And then when we moved, well, it is longer. When we moved to Wembley, we got season tickets, so we saw some amazing Champions League nights. There are two, actually. There are two moments, right? One of them, the one that first comes to mind, is when we beat Real Madrid 3-1 at home.
Yeah.
At Wembley, and I was there. That was just amazing. But we also beat Dortmund in the Champions League in the group stage that year. So 2 incredible games. But the Real Madrid one was really special. And seeing like Prime Ronaldo, beating Prime Ronaldo, it's like, come on. And then the other one, I can't even remember what year this is. Maybe like 2013, something like that. It was around my birthday, maybe 1 or 2 days after my birthday, and we beat City at the Lane 3-2, and Bale scored a little chip, like kind of dinked Joe Hart for the 3-2, pretty sure. And I think we were 2-1 down. And actually, we'd already conceded by the time me and my dad sat down in the seats. We were like 5 minutes late to the game, and we were already 1-0 down. And that was incredible. So good that we walked home from the Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty nice memories. And about fans, isn't it? Do you think it's weird that like you can meet really nice person, like really nice people, and after some point they say that they support Arsenal, right?
Yeah. So look, like I've grown up with my auntie, and you know that side of my family all being like my cousins. Like, yeah, I also thought they were really nice people, and then at a certain age found out they were Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's why I dislike Arsenal fans so much. I've been saying to people that I will never be so happy not to be in North London than if Arsenal win the league this year. But I don't think they will. So
no, they won't. No, they won't. All right, but like you said, you have always had a football on your feet, and you were playing football, and at some point in the age of 12, you went to Norwich Academy.
Yeah.
So like a dream come true at that point.
Yeah, and I wasn't one of these kids who kind of obsessed about being in an academy. You know, like you have a lot of young kids these days, like they're not in an academy, they're like feel like they're just not cutting it, they've not got a chance, they'll never have a chance. Obviously, to even once you're in an academy, you still have a very slim chance, especially in England, right? but I wasn't like completely obsessed by that. I didn't think about it that much until I kind of got offered it. But I'd had a long trial at Watford before when I was like, shortly a few months before, and it hadn't worked out. And they'd said to me like, look, they'd said to my dad, I was so young, right? He's just like not ready. It's like kind of long part. Like they gave a few pointers, right? When you're that age, there's things that you need to work on. And I don't even remember this, but my dad's told me that apparently I did this. I honestly don't remember doing it, but he just said like I cried, and then I took those. I really worked on the feedback that they gave me, and then maybe 6 months later, Norwich worked out, and so it was really nice.
Yeah. Actually, I have this one Norwich shirt
There you go, the Canaries,
signed by Teemu Pukki.
Yeah.
What kind of a experience was it? Because like I read also that it wasn't all fun and joy being on that academy.
Yeah, and it was nothing about the academy was at fault for that at all. Like, I don't want it to come across that way. It was more, it was an amazing footballing experience, and I improved so much in those 3 years. Like, really, really improved technically.
Yeah,
everything, and like, I think in those 3 years, I really built a belief in myself that actually, when we played against other academies within the academy, that I felt like, okay, for the first time, I was like, not for the first time, but like, okay, I really believe that I'm a good footballer. Like I can, when I step onto the pitch, I never really believe that anyone, can do something more special than me. And I think that's a mentality that you kind of have to have, but that is a mentality. I don't hope that doesn't come across as arrogant in any way, but in those years, that's like the mentality I built. Like when I can come onto the pitch, if I'm on the pitch, then I can make something happen. And I think even when I wasn't playing football, so in the last few years, I don't think I lost that so much. And I always say, like, I'm a massive believer in belief.
Yeah.
But coming back to the question, I was very homesick. It was like quite a long way from home, and I was really young, and I was also missing a lot of school. It was hard with friends at school and stuff as well, because I was just like hardly ever there. So I just kind of felt between two places and on kind of two different journeys. And also, just being incredibly homesick the whole time, to be honest.
Yeah. That kind of self-confidence that you were talking about, did you always have it? Like, do you remember, like, have to train on it, or did you always have it?
I don't think I ever thought about it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I ever thought about it. But it's more the fact that, like, I think when you're so young, when you play football, you don't think about the mental side of the game. You don't really think, I need to mentally prepare myself for this. I need to mentally prepare myself for that. You just play. And I think if I think about, what must have been going on subconsciously, when I got the ball at my feet, I've always just wanted to beat people, and that's it. And like, I've always just thought, whoever it is, like, I'm just going to go and just we'll do something and beat people. And that's always the way I've liked to play. So I guess, but I guess that play style is confident when you're that young. That kind of, I guess that's an indicator of confidence.
Yeah. So what happened after Norwich? You were there in like 3 years.
After Norwich?
Yeah.
So I went back to school, and I did my GCSEs. So went back to school full time, which was like really interesting, but also quite tough. Like I don't know, I've never actually really spoken to people about this, but so you're kind of the first. But like at school, I did have a few people, like, what people are like at that sort of age. Like, a lot of people saying to me, you were released from the academy. Like, the reason like you're not in the academy is because they got rid of you. You weren't good enough. All of this sort of thing. Like, what people are like. They just want to say stuff. And actually, a lot of people at school, whether they believe me or not, they made out that they didn't believe the fact that I'd left on my own terms. But anyway, so like went back. That's something you have to deal with. And I think that's something that I always like really like. It got to me a little bit, and I always thought to myself, like, I know there's more for me in football. Like I'm gonna show them in some ways, like that. This is my decision, and if I decide it's not over, then it's not over. But no, I just went back to school. I did like very well in my GCSEs. It's like your exams you do kind of in England, it goes up to like year 13. So if year 13 is your last year at school, then your GCSEs is year 10. No, year 11, sorry. I know it works a bit differently, like grades, stuff in other systems. But did very well there. And then chose my A levels. So just made the decision that like I want to go to university. So then you do your A levels. And you apply to university before you actually do those A levels. So I got into Oxford before, but I had to get specific grades to get in. And then it was COVID, so we didn't do the exams, but I only needed 3 A's. And I was predicted 3 A stars. And in England, we got given, because we didn't get to do the exams, we got given our predicted grades in the end. So like I ended up, easily getting in. But to get in, I had to do kind of like an exam, which was like an unseen text that I had to respond to, like an essay. I had to do 4 interviews, write a personal statement, submit a few essays to them that I'd written in school. So it was quite a long process. And then that's kind of it. And then finished school, and went straight to uni.
Yeah, and also like Oxford is something that we know in Finland and all over the world. It's highly rated university, so that almost must have been like a dream come true.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in a lot of ways, it's a dream come true in the sense that it validates the decision I made a few years before. So, you kind of think to yourself, well, if I kind of turn down, like I just let go of a football contract to pursue an education, I did as well as I could. And like now I feel like I ended up in a place that I can be actually proud of that decision, whereas if you quit on the football front and then you don't really go for it on the education front, it's kind of a waste. So in that sense, it was a dream come true because that's most of my dreams involve football, so that's why I'm hesitant to say that. But it was obviously amazing. I was just like delighted.
Yeah, but that sounds like a busy life because you still were playing football and maybe keeping yourself fit, and also you were doing a lot of like educational thing, school related things. So it sounds like a busy life at that point.
I mean, while I was there, they say that they expect about, when I first got there, I remember we had this talk, and they said that they expect about around 35 hours of work a week. So, that's kind of like a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. It's effectively a job, really.
Yeah.
Like 35, 40 hours, right? And so, it was a lot. I can't say I did that every week. That would be a lie. And we obviously I still had a good time there, a really good time. But I think the really useful thing is most of my best friends there, they all played football as well. So there were quite a few people, and there are a lot of people there who balance sport and the academic life. But I mean, if you want to do that, you don't have really a moment to pause. The terms are only 8 weeks long, so we have 3 terms. They're only 8 weeks long, and the reason they're only 8 weeks long is because it's so intense.
Yeah, I understand. So you played in the university team, right? So what is that like to play in that team? Is it like, do you practice as a team, or how does it go? Because I don't know about university football in England.
I mean, it's dependent on the university. I would say Oxford as a university, football's not the main sport, because most of university sport at the university is not funded by the university itself, because their focus is on academic excellence. That's their number one focus. So they have a budget to fund sport, facilities and travel and this sort of thing and equipment, and to pay coaches, but it's not that much. And other sports, they have a lot of funding from alumni who give money to the clubs, Football, for some reason, perhaps, I don't know, perhaps because of the nature of the people that went to Oxford in the past weren't so kind of football based. They were more like rugby, cricket, what we call like kind of more private school sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say football was quite underfunded in some ways. But we trained like 3 times a week, and had a game every week. It was fun. It was really fun. Like I was playing with my best friends. So I met all my best friends there, most of my best friends there. And yeah, it was so fun. Level not so high.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but I could express myself, which was nice.
Yeah. So, did you have always, when you were in university, did you have always the dreams in the back of your head that you wanna be still a footballer?
I think the key is in the back of my head. Yeah. So there's like throughout, I know there are a few people that knew what I wanted to do and knew my plan. A plan is like a strange word to use. Like it wasn't so meticulously planned out. It's not like I knew how I was going to do it. I didn't have an idea how I was going to, like, I didn't know that once I finished, I was going to go on trial here. I didn't have the contacts to do that. I really didn't. A lot of it was luck. A massive part of it was luck to be in the position. You could say in some ways like I manifested it, because I'd said to a few people, or the people closest to me, they knew what I wanted to do. A few people, the football boys close to me, some of the older guys had said to me, look, like one of my friends had said, like, look, you kind of have to keep going. Like you can't, if you have even a 1% of you that still thinks you can do this, like we believe that you can push on with this. And because some of the boys I've played with had also played at a high level, so there are a few kind of ex-academy boys, one at Leeds, one at Cardiff, that there were boys that knew football, if you know what I mean, and they'd played against good players. So I always had it in the back of my mind, and I told my parents and the people closest to me, that I want to do this, but I didn't have a plan to do it. There was no kind of stepping stones, there were no stepping stones in place.
Yeah. So if you didn't have like a plan, or you didn't know what to do, how did it all happen? Did you contact some agents, or
So
how did it work? How does it work?
yeah, I don't know how it does work. Like I don't know if that's the blueprint, but I'll tell you how it worked. Or just how it, how the last kind of 10 months, 9 months have been. So I had, in my first year when I first got to Oxford, we had a very, very really inspirational, amazing coach, football coach, a guy called Mickey Lewis, and he really sadly passed away in COVID. So we lost our manager at the start of my first year, and obviously that was much worse for the boys that had been with him for 3 years. But we'd started the pre-season. I'd got to know him and his wife and his young son, and it was really awful actually. And his wife and his young son Zach always came to our games, and they're probably I would say an very important part of this. Yeah, and obviously you need them to know that I really appreciate them. But Mickey, the coach, he had managed at Oxford United, been assistant manager at Oxford United under Chris Wilder, who was the Sheffield United manager. He might even be, no, he's a Sheffield United manager again now, right? Yeah. So no, he is. He's back as a Sheffield United manager.
All right.
So they knew each other, and in my first year, he'd actually watched my varsity match against Cambridge. So the varsity match is the game we play against Cambridge at the end of the year. And it's like our big game of the season. And he watched that and said to Suzanne, Mickey's wife, he's decent. He looks good. But obviously I had another 2 years at uni, so it was nothing to be done. And then they were also very friendly with the chairman at Northampton. So in my final year, in my final varsity, so this is 2 years after that, Kelvin, he came to watch the chairman, the varsity, and I scored. We won 2-0. I scored, played well, and we won. And he liked me, and he said to Suzanne, even though it's not very normal for a chairman, they don't really have so much of a footballing role. They don't scout play, you know, they don't tell the coach who is good and who's not good. That's not really their role. But he said to Suzanne, Mickey's wife, that, you know, he looks good, and if he wants to come along in the summer, we'll have him in and just have a look at him. In the meantime, I'd also kind of worked out that I was going to have a pre-season with Oxford City, which are like there's Oxford United, who are in League One, so obviously a very good side, and Oxford City are the other team in Oxford, and they just got promoted into the National League, so into the 5th division in England, so it's a good level.
Yeah.
And so they had agreed to have me for 6 weeks pre-season. As soon as I finished my exams, they said you can come for 6 weeks. So I started off at Oxford City for 3 weeks, and then Kelvin got in touch and said, you know, does he still want to come in? And they offered me 2 days on trial. 2 days. They offered me a training day and then a training match against Southampton's under 23s. So I'm like, right, well, what do I do? Because I'm like kind of in between. So I actually asked Oxford City if I could go for 2 days and come back. And fair enough, they said no. They said, like, you have to choose. We're not a training camp for you. Like, you're here. And I actually really understand it. It's fair enough. So I decided to go for the 2 days. But I think that's part of like backing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to see what it was all about. You know, you go to a League One club, even if it was only for 1 day of training and then a game against Southampton's under 23s. I kind of wanted to find out where I stood against the guys who are playing in League One, and I also wanted to see where I stood against the academy guys of Southampton. So yeah, I had a decent 40 minutes. They did it in 4 quarters, and everyone got 40 minutes. So everyone got two of the 20s. Played decently well, and ended up staying on there. And so that was on the Tuesday. So they got me in on the Monday for training. Then that's on the Tuesday, and then on Saturday, so they told me that, okay, you can come in for a bit more training. So that was good. Didn't get ditched straight away. And then on Saturday, we've got a game, first pre-season game against Leicester, at home against the first team.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Okay, so I'm in the squad for that. Like, didn't know if I was going to get minutes. And then actually, they told me at the start of the game, you're going to get half an hour, but you can't, but we want you to warm up inside. So I didn't watch any of the game, couldn't watch any of the game. I was inside in the changing room, waiting with a few other boys, and just like amazingly. And this is why I owe so much to Suzanne and, you know, and Kelvin and Northampton for even just like even having a look. And a guy who was the assistant manager there at the time, who's now one of the head coaches at Southampton, Colin Calderwood, like, he used to play for Spurs, who really, when I first got there, was very kind to me and patient, and, you know, actually looked at me with fresh eyes, and got half an hour against Leicester. And I had one really nice flick around the corner, but, you know, I don't want that to be, you know, but anyway, but I think the first time I got the ball, I lost it. And like, I really was like, okay, this is fast. Like, this is different.
Yeah.
These guys are really good. So, you know, like, Iheanacho was on the pitch, Albrighton, you know, Vardy had been on, Vestergaard, you know, top guys. Harry Winks, Chowdhury, like, it was really, like, really, really special, actually, looking back, to do that. And yeah, I lost the ball the first time, like, gave it away completely. Misplaced pass, like, I was nervous.
Yeah.
And then kind of like grew into it a little bit. We hardly had the ball, so I can't say I did very much. But the few times that I got the ball, I think I looked after it quite well after that and built some confidence. And I thought, well, like, if I can play against these guys, I'm not saying I did anything, but if you don't look out of place on the pitch, then you must have something, you know? Because all of this process is still finding out where I am, what level, where I am, you know?
Yeah.
But to be honest, like, yeah, they were incredible. incredible. So, but it was just special for me to even be able to run around for 30 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that. And then kind of after that, we had another game against Birmingham City, similar thing, like half an hour. And then like a week later, so I'd been there for 2.5 weeks, they told me like, look, we're just not going to sign you for the season. Like, we can't sign you. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
sign. Like, we can't justify signing. You've just come out of uni, you have no experience. And that was it. It was the fact that I didn't have experience. They, I was told that I'd actually impressed, and they were very surprised. And they thought I'd actually played really well, but there was just, they're a League One club. There's just no scope for signing someone who's never played an EFL game and has not even been playing proper football for 3 years or even longer, 6 years. So yeah, you just have to take that, right?
Yeah.
And just take whatever confidence comes out of it. And yeah, I mean, then through a family connection, I was introduced to the guy who helps me now, my agent, which was, I guess, another very like important moment. Really important moment actually, because he's basically been behind every bit of help I've had since. So the Northampton thing was incredibly lucky, and then since then, this guy has been like amazing for finding opportunities. So he put me in touch with Kuuntele Cicalen, who had me out with TPS for a week. They liked me. They actually wanted to sign me, but they couldn't with the transfer window. Like, Finnish FA weren't having any of it, so couldn't do that. Flew home. Obviously, another disappointment, right? So now we've lost Oxford City, we've lost Northampton. It's not worked with TPS.
Yeah.
So like, where do we go from here? Then sends me to Switzerland with Neuchâtel Xamax, and that was, the sporting director there, who's also been incredibly kind and was really open-minded in having me out there. He admitted to me that when he first had me out, he did it as a favor. He knew he wasn't going to sign me. He did it as a favor. He not that he knew he wasn't going to sign me. He just was like, no, we're not. Like, this is a favor. We'll have a look at him. If he's rubbish, we'll put him with under 19s.
Yeah.
And then had a training game with them against a top division side, so against a Swiss first division side, and played really well. So I had a really good first week. And at the end of that week, he was on the phone, just the agent, saying, look, like, we can't sign him at this point, because they also have a foreign player quota, so they can only sign 9 foreign players. And they had already signed 9, so I couldn't even sign if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he was on the phone basically saying, I don't know how he's got this fitness. Like, I don't know how he's got the technical ability, but he's like really impressed this week, and we can't sign him, but we don't want to let him go. So they then had me out to Switzerland another 3 times, all in the international breaks, so I could play friendlies. And then the final one was for 10 days in January. And we played we played 2 friendlies, one against the third division side and one against Grasshoppers. And like, I played really well in both. And they said to me, look, like, we've cleared, that problem's done with the foreign players. We want to sign you. So I flew home from Switzerland in January, thinking that like, I've been offered a contract now. That like, this is amazing after 7 months.
Yeah.
And in between all of these times, I'm literally just in the gym every single day, like I gave up sugar, like just trying to eat, like just trying to do every single 1% that I can do. Like, go to the football pitch every day on my own, train on my own every day. But anyway, flew home from Switzerland, and within a week, it was quite clear that with a British passport, there was no way to sign me, because I had no professional experience. I'd have had to play in the first or second division of my home country, which would be the Prem or the Championship, to be able to sign in Switzerland with their visa regulations. And so it fell apart. So, back to square one.
Yeah. Like, well, there was a lot that you told, but like, is it hard to accept the fact that that you're a good player, and the people around you, they see that you're a good player, but just because of you don't have that experience, or you don't have that certain route to be a professional player, they don't sign you?
yeah, it was definitely hard to accept. Definitely hard to accept. But what would be harder to accept is if someone tells you, no, I don't think you're good enough. And because I never had that message, which was like the football, like the message was never, oh, the footballing element is missing. It was
Yeah.
that the experience element is missing. The CV element is missing. Yeah, it's frustrating. But in my mind, I'm like, well, it's only going to take one person, one situation where there's an open mind, and not just an open mind, but also the ability to offer that contract, or, you know, to give a bit of trust, or just things to align. Like, yeah, I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments of like real frustration and like, you know, sadness as well, where it's like, well, how is this going to happen? Because I can do everything I can do apart from magic up an amazing footballing CV. So yeah, and that's kind of, yeah, and that's kind of where VPS come in.
Yeah.
Which is just like, obviously for me, you know, when you go somewhere 4 months in a row, and with like a month, like you're there for a week, and then you're off, and then a week, and then you're off, and then a week, and every single one's a trial. You have to show you have the ability every time. Because with me, it's not like, oh, he didn't have a good day, but he's got the CV, so he's obviously a decent player.
Yeah.
That's not the case. You have to perform every second, because if you don't, it's like, well, he's just not there. So when that fell apart, I have to say that was like really difficult to pick myself back up from. But you just keep going, right? You just got to keep going and just believe. And that's it. If you don't believe it, no one will. No one will. How can you convince anyone if you don't believe it yourself?
Yeah. And I'm glad that you kept going, because now we can see you play here in Finland and in Veikkausliiga and enjoy you play. And I know someone who is kicking themselves right now are the TPS fans that they couldn't sign you.
Yeah, it was not their fault, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing they could do. You know, I think they did their best. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So as we know, VPS last year in Finland was a phenomenon. They after like in June they started winning and win almost every game. Didn't lose at all. Now you lost one game, almost first game almost in a year that VPS has lost. But um, how was it like for you to come to that kind of environment? Because uh, if I'm honest, no one didn't really believe outside of Vasa and VPS that VPS could keep on going in this year, because they had changed so much. So many players has changed after last year. So, but do you still? I know it's hard question for you because you weren't there last year, but do you still have that certain feeling in the locker room that you really are going to play and you will win
I,
anyone?
I think for me personally, there's definitely it's less about the feeling that we're going to beat everyone, we're going to win this, we're going to win that. It's not like, I don't think you can think like that. I don't think it's wise to think like that. I think there's a belief that why should we be afraid of anyone? There's like, why should we? And I see what you're saying, that obviously, look, yeah, so what, it was 22 games unbeaten, 23 games unbeaten, something like that, and 17 of those were last year. So really, the unbeaten run is last year's. We've obviously had a very good start, but I think there's an amazing kind of core, and that doesn't just include the players; that's also the staff. This is the feeling I got when I first got here, of real kind of like care, uh, appreciation, and like a closeness around the club. Like, I guess it's a family club in some ways. I don't know how common that is in Finland. Like, that's the feeling I get, that like it feels like a family, and there are family members.
Yeah.
You know, that's something special for me. I I think with these sort of runs, I don't think you ever think to yourself. especially like when it carries from one season to the next. Oh, like we're unbeaten, and that's like the target. We're remaining unbeaten. That's just it. Like we're unbeaten now. That's our identity. I think our identity is just a team that like works really hard, works really really hard, knows what we do, trusts the manager, which I think everyone does. I know everyone does. Like, and everyone has like a massive love for each other in the team, and that includes like the staff. There's a real closeness there. And so if we trust each other's if we trust the teammates and we trust the staff and we trust, everyone, why not? Like what team should we be afraid of? And that doesn't mean that we're going to win anything. It just means that when we step on the pitch each game and you take these games one by one, you think, okay, we're going to be that really annoying team. And we know with the way UC set us up, we're going to have a great chance. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, you had those trials like 1 week and then off, and 1 week again, trial, and you have to show every day that you're good enough to be rewarded and to have a contract. So what's the life now when you have a contract, you're under a contract?
You just, some people are the sort of people that are like like I have to be honest, it's difficult for things to provide me with comfort. It's like one thing happens and it's like the next thing is like the thing in my mind.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to focus on gratitude slightly more sometimes, and being happy about the things that you do get rather than worrying about the things that you want to get, But I think I always look forward and I'm thinking like, okay, how do I best help this team? Like how do I do my role in this team that we get to a place where, we can really look back at the end of the season and say like we did something really special. And how do I, it's like I don't look back at, put it this way, I don't look back at getting the contract and think, okay, my work here is done.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. It's like, now this is just the beginning. I want to perform every single week. I want to try and be the best player I can be every single week. I want this team to win every single week. And, I guess I always just look to the next game and think like, yeah, I want to try and be the best I can be.
Yeah. Also, one thing I wanted to ask you is, like, you have a really good education now from Oxford. You could be having a totally different kind of career in England. Maybe getting even more money than, as we know, in Finland, there's not much money in football if you compare to other like bigger leagues. So how do you value like money? How important is money for you at this moment?
I said when I signed my contract, I was open about the fact that actually I was open about the fact, first of all, that like this contract is in no way about money for me. And that's not, that's not to say anything other than it was getting the contract to play football every day was the thing in my mind, not getting the contract to get paid to play football. Do you see what I mean? It wasn't even enter my mind. It's like, I know I love to play football. I believe I can be a top footballer. The only way to do that is do what I love doing every day. The only way to do that is get a contract. It was not even a question in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, look, I think people are lying when they say that they don't think about money. Like, who doesn't? You have to be a billionaire to not think about money. You obviously have to think about money. You have to survive. You have to eat. But I know for me, if I can survive it, I can eat and play football beyond that and have peace of mind and have peace in my life, my family are well, and I'm healthy. I'm quite content.
Yeah, exactly. Um, what kind of things are you dreaming at the moment from the future, or like, are
So
you
I,
are you living the dream?
yeah, and I've said this, like I've obviously been asked this question a few times, and I'll reiterate because it's uh, this for me is like playing at Real Madrid. because you have to imagine that 9 months of no, you're not going to be a footballer, you don't have the CV, you made your decision. It's like kind of soul crushing, like after a while, and you just think, all I want to do is play football and build something, and like be a part of something, and build towards something, and improve. And like, it's my dream to play football every day. I'm doing that, and with an incredible group, incredible manager, incredible staff. Like, what else could I want? I don't think about anything else other than the next game and doing the best I can do. Yeah, I would say living the dream.
Yeah. I have a few questions here that we asked from every player who is visiting the show. A little football related or not, let's see. But I'm gonna ask these questions from you now. So first one, what is the thing that pisses you off the most on football, like on the pitch?
On the pitch.
On the pitch.
Question. Great question. What pisses me off on the pitch? I'm struggling with this. What's something that really annoys me? Like unwatered astroturf really pisses me off. Like when the floor's not wet, that
Yeah.
really annoys me. Okay, that's number one. But that's not too bad, right? That's just like an annoyance. Maybe I'm quite zen on the pitch. I don't know. Maybe that's the time where I'm least pissed off. But it's probably off the pitch that things are pissed. But on the pitch, corners, like, oh my god, like, yeah. Do you know what? Like, my role usually is like, I'm like defending the goalkeeper. So like, when we're defending a corner, I'm trying to stop the guy who's trying to stand on the goalkeeper. It's like when, that kind of like tussle where they're like shoving you and then looking around to the ref like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
You can't even do that. Like, there's like zero. I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. I could go on. Yeah. Let's just say corners.
All right. That's the first one, actually. No one said anything about corners. Usually it's about referees, but
yeah, I do. It's not good to say those sort of things.
Well, if you would have to take someone from the VPS locker room with you to a lonely island, live on a lonely island, who would it be and why?
There's only there are a few names. Like, you have to make a choice, right? Do you go with someone who do you go with your best friend, but he's gonna piss you off so much?
Yeah.
In the end, because he's like the most annoying guy in the world, but you still love him? Or do you go with someone so much more chill? And do you know what? Okay, there's a few contenders, right? I know who the one I'm going with is, because he'll kill me. Everyone will kill me if I don't say him. No, because it's true. I would take Mess Borchers. I'm taking him. He is like my boy. We're going together, whatever happens. So he is the one. But oh my, just us two on an island. Honestly, if you get to speak to any of the other boys, they'll confirm this for you. You don't even want to get me started on this dynamic. But it has to be him. He's the one I would take. But Baski would be an amazing companion on an island. If you're talking about a desert island where you have to survive and you need someone to keep you mentally stimulated and just happy, yeah, it's Baski.
Baski, okay.
Yeah, to talk to you, it's Baski. To sing, whatever, it's Baski.
Okay, good choices.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. This might be easy for you or not, but if you weren't a footballer, now you are a footballer, professional footballer. But what would you do if you weren't a footballer?
Yeah. What would I be doing right now?
I think at some point you had to think.
Yeah, I did have to think about this.
Yeah.
I once had. So I had in my last year at Oxford, I had an interview for a law firm, good American law firm. I realized during the interview. Well, the interviewer also got me there as well. like we came to this conclusion together that I just like really did not want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like not in a rude way, but she was right. Like she kind of said I didn't have any commercial interest, which at the time was like true. Like I hadn't really prepared, like whatever. But I'm quite good at arguing.
All right.
So if I didn't want to like go down academic route and actually maybe be an academic, then maybe like law, consultancy, that sort of thing. Yeah. Or the civil service, like maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. What's the weirdest ritual you have seen someone do before the game? Or do you have the
I'm the
weirdest?
ritual. I'm a ritual guy. That is it.
Really?
Yeah, like everything's a ritual with me. But trying to think if anyone has any really weird ones. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've seen weird like here. I don't think I've seen that much weird stuff.
Yeah.
No, I've not seen that much weird stuff. I'm trying to think. Like I do everything. I put my socks on in a certain order. Like I literally everything is. I think I actually can't even say. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything strange.
All
I'm
right.
sure I'll notice something, but I haven't seen anything strange so far.
But you don't do that strange. It's just basic ritual stuff that you just do like.
Yeah, last week, this wasn't a ritual, but this was like my hamstrings were like in pain.
Yeah.
And so I was on. This is like in the hotel the night before the Coops game. I was on like a massage bed. I mean, like our physio was like, so he like massaged my hamstrings. Both of them were sore, and then rubbed like with oil, and then put like rubbed salt onto there, rubbed
Yeah.
like cayenne pepper on there. So it was like a marinated like piece of like meat.
Yeah.
Then a hot towel, like boiling hot towel, and then like wrap them up. I think that's quite weird. Like salt and pepper on your legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it felt good?
Yeah, it felt good. Like it was very hot. My legs were burning. But the hamstrings were fine. So yeah.
Okay. Good. The last one. What's the best way to recover from a defeat mentally when you lost the game?
When you lost the game. See, a lot of these questions that you're asking me, like you forget I'm actually just like so new to this.
Yeah.
It's like you've asked me like what the strangest ritual I've seen yet is, but like I'm not, it's been difficult.
Yeah.
Not cool. Yeah, so best way to come from a defeat. We've only had one.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird
You've
for
got to win.
VPS, right?
You have to win the next. I mean, you want to win the next game, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, well, cake is also really good. Like we eat a lot of cake here. I don't know if you've heard about this, but like,
No.
there's cake for basically anything. It's like there's cake for. So there's cake if you score your first goal. There's cake in the Veikkausliigan. Cake for a debut. I don't know how normal this is, but like cake for debut, cake for birthday. Some boys were saying cake for like team of the month and stuff for the first time. And like recently, it's just been honestly like almost everyday cake. And so last week we didn't have as much cake. I don't know why. They're just not as much like in the weeks before. Honestly, almost every day,
Yeah.
just people bringing in cake just for like after training, just a little slice of cake. And anyway, last week not so much cake. So I'm thinking maybe we've got to bring back some of the cake, and then that's a good way to recover. And surely something comes back with that.
Do you have to bake it by yourself?
No, you don't. But the boys who are smart do. But a lot of the new boys who don't have any of like the baking equipment and stuff, like no.
Yeah.
We should just buy the bakery now because yeah, it's common.
All right. Yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah, I think we're about to wrap this up, but like now before we end this one, what do you think about now? You've seen Veikkausliiga, you played a few games now, and you're doing great. You're top of the league when we are doing this show. So, what do you think about this league, and what do you think are your chances in this league?
Like my personal chances or the team?
The team or your personal, both.
So, I mean, first of all, like I think there's some like really, really great quality in the league actually, and I think you'll have seen like some of the goals in the like the early round, like the first few goals of the month. And I don't know how Mana didn't get onto the, you know, he didn't get even a nominee.
Yeah.
But you know, like you can see that the quality is really there. That's something I've been very impressed with. And that no team, like every team, it looks like a hard team to play against this year. Like that, no team looks like they're gonna give away a win easily. So there's a lot of fight there. So that's something I've been like impressed by, my initial impression. And then like targets wise for the team, myself, like, you know, I just want to keep contributing. Like, if you know, just being creative, doing my role. Like my role is the first one, right? Like just try and play my role every game. Just do my job for the team, and then try and be creative, I guess. And then for the team, I don't think it's good to put like, especially not at this stage, to be so specific. I don't think it's worth it. I just think instead of your aim being, okay, we're going to achieve this place in the league, or we're going to achieve this in the cup, or this in the, the conference qualifiers, it's more like, do we embody this like set of kind of goal? Like, do we embody this set of values every game? Do we do this every game? Do we work to this level every game?
Yeah.
So I think as long as we go into every game without fear and we work harder than the opposition every game, like I think we have a chance in an individual game against anyone, and I think like we'll have a season to be proud of. Yeah, it's hard. I'm not going to put a figure on it for you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, hey, it was so great to have you here on the show. I know this last few days hasn't been the easiest maybe for you because of the injury, but it was so nice to have you here. And well, VPS is playing against Hoiko Helsinki on Friday. Where are you going to watch the game? Are you traveling with the team or
I'll be
staying in Vaasa?
I'll be in the away end.
With your
Yeah, with the geezers.
yeah. All right. That sounds good. Hey, thank you for visiting the show. I wish you the best of luck to the season, and
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, sir.
It was fun. It was fun.
Thank you very much. It was.
Okay. All right. See you on the pitch.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Valtava suuri kiitos vielä Alfie Cicalelle vierailusta Keskiympyrässä. Oli kyllä upea kuulla hänen tarinaansa ja jollain tavalla helppo myöskin samaistua tuohon, kun niin pitkään sanotaan ei. Sitten jossain vaiheessa, kun se paikka avautuu ja se sauma tulee, niin on se kyllä upea hetki ja pakko olla todella iloinen Alfin puolesta. Ja toivottavasti kaikki menee tästä eteenpäin myöskin hyvin. Mies tulee kuntoon ja hänet nähdään jälleen VPS-paidassa. Mutta tässä oli kaikki Keskiympyrästä tällä kertaa. Kiva, jos viihdyit jälleen seurassamme ja ei muuta kuin palataan jälleen ensi viikolla. Moi moi!